Xbox pushes back against Sony's claims in regards to the Activision Blizzard acquisition. All right, guys, before we get into this, I see about 50% of you are not subscribed. If you enjoy this video, consider hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow. So we are getting closer to the time that the Activision Blizzard acquisition is going to close, whether it closes before the end of 2022 or in early 2023. It is time to start getting excited for all the stuff that's going to be coming over to Xbox Game Pass, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, all of these huge titles which are going to really make the Xbox Game Pass library that much better, and just the Xbox ecosystem library that much better. But before the deal closes, a lot of the trade commissions have to do their due diligence to make sure that there is nothing anti-competitive about this deal. And the one in Brazil was posing many questions to different third parties out there, different companies out there, on their thoughts of the industry and how they thought the Activision Blizzard deal was going to affect the industry, if there's going to be any anti-competitive practices when this deal is finalized. And pretty much everybody who responded to that were okay with the deal. They had no real complaints about it. But one company did, and it is, you could say right now, the biggest competitor for Microsoft in the console market specifically, and that is Sony. And they had a lot to say in terms of how they thought Activision Blizzard was going to affect the industry, and that they couldn't really create a game that could compete with Call of Duty and it would have a huge impact on them. But now Microsoft has responded to Sony's claims, fighting back against what they said. So first of all, here is what Sony claims. Call of Duty is so popular that it influences users' choice of console, and its community of loyal users is entrenched enough that even if a competitor had the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to rival it. Now, you could argue, because Call of Duty is so popular, it is literally a culture within video games that it's almost impossible for any other first-person shooter to be as popular as Call of Duty. But at the end of the day, that isn't the fault of Xbox. That isn't the fault of Microsoft. That isn't the fault of anybody else out there. And it is up to the market to try their best to create a competitor within the market. But that's not why Sony actually cares about this deal going through. Why they care about this deal going through is because if you look at Call of Duty over the last number of years, they have had exclusive marketing rights for the franchise. They have had early access to the beta. And especially during the PlayStation 4 era, with the amount of PS4s that were sold, they made a ton of money off of Call of Duty. And they are worried that that huge cash flow, now that such a huge franchise is going to be available on Xbox Game Pass, they're going to lose a lot of players to that, and they're going to lose a lot of that income. And this is where the argument always comes in. I've talked about this many times, where you see people thinking that first-party console exclusives are the most important thing to PlayStation, to Xbox, when in reality we have seen this generation that is not the case whatsoever, especially with the Xbox strategy of putting their first-party games everywhere and still being able to sell their consoles. And then we even have seen the latest financial results from PlayStation, where the majority of their money is coming from third parties. In fact, here is a chart looking at the first party versus third party game sales from fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 2021. And you can see 80% plus of their sales come from third parties. And one of those big third parties every single year is Call of Duty. So now Microsoft has fought back in a 27-page document relating to the acquisition, replying to Cade, attempting to show that Sony's claims are just wrong. So first of all, they mentioned that Ubisoft, Bandai Namco, other numerous third parties gave responses, but Sony was the only one that claimed Call of Duty was in a genre of its own, saying only one third party, Sony, presented materially different opinions than the applicants and the other third parties consulted by the SG. Sony is isolated in this understanding and curiously even contradicts itself in its response to the letter, as will be detailed below. Sony's public statements on subscription games and its response to the SG's letter are clear. Sony does not want attractive subscription services to threaten its dominance in the digital distribution market for console games. In other words, Sony rails against the introduction of new monetization models capable of challenging its business model. And honestly, that's, I would say, exactly what Sony is saying when they are talking about Call of Duty and they are against this deal going through is they are sitting there right now in this generation and they feel extremely threatened by what is going on around them with these subscription services, what Xbox has done with Xbox Game Pass, and they're way behind the ball in adjusting to where the video game industry is going. They have sat too long on thinking that console exclusivity is the way of the future. We now see that subscription cloud gaming is going to be much more profitable for companies going forward, with Game Pass right now being the leader. Even in the recent fiscal year reports from both of these companies, gaming revenues have fallen, but what has offset the falling revenues has been subscription. And that's one thing that right there companies look at and they say we need to do more of this to make sure that we continue to grow. Now when it comes to Call of Duty being a category of games, basically what Sony was claiming, Microsoft denies that, saying stating that Call of Duty has a loyal following is a premise from which does not follow from the conclusion that the game is a gaming category per se. Sony owns PlayStation, incidentally has an established base of loyal brand players. Such a finding, however, does not lead to the conclusion that the PlayStation or any branded product with loyal consumers is a separate market from all other consoles. Extrapolating from such a finding to the extreme conclusion that Call of Duty is a category of games per se is simply unjustifiable under any quantitative or qualitative analysis. And I mean, Call of Duty is a first-person shooter. The genre is first-person shooter. It isn't Call of Duty. There are plenty of first-person shooters out there with huge player bases, but Call of Duty is just the leader. And if somebody wants to take over as the leader, they need to create a product. They need to do all of the stuff that is required in order to do that. That's what a free market is all about. Just nobody has been able to take over Call of Duty. Now, when it comes to arguing the Game Pass thing and whether Blizzard games and Activision games coming to Game Pass will lead to an unattainable lead in these subscription services, Microsoft argues against this with a bunch of things, saying it's not part of Microsoft's strategy to remove content from players, and COD will be on PlayStation as a paid title, something they've already gone over. Microsoft already claimed that they aren't going to be taking it off Call of Duty, which doesn't make sense to take it off. They would be losing money right now with the amount of people that play on PlayStation. They say your data shows that players see subscription services as only one way to pay for games. And we've seen the data come out from Xbox and Xbox Game Pass that more people actually purchase titles after they've tried it on Xbox Game Pass. More people are spending money within the store itself, buying DLC, buying add-ons, all of that type of stuff for games that are on Game Pass. So subscription is just one revenue stream that, I mean, it's huge. It's going to be the future going forward. I think for a lot of these companies, they are seeing it as a way to offset losses in revenues, but it's still only one stream. They say your Sony's claims ignore the dynamic nature of subscription services and the fact that Sony has its own too, which is hilarious because when I talked about Sony's claims in my previous video, it's almost like Sony creating PlayStation Plus and adding those extra tiers helped with making sure that this deal goes through, because they're essentially saying we know that subscription services are the future and we are creating something that will be able to compete with Xbox Game Pass. Therefore, it isn't Xbox taking over the entire market and owning the market with the only big subscription service out there and taking players away from every other place. We see Sony subscription services. We see them getting games, getting exclusive titles on there, and I'm sure that will continue to grow and they will continue to get more exclusive titles as they grow the different tiers: PlayStation Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium. And finally, there are numerous other game distribution channels and subscription services, many of which include content that isn't available on Xbox. And exactly to the previous point, there's content on PlayStation Plus's subscription service that is not going to be available on Xbox Game Pass. But here is the meat of it all, the thing that is just the, I guess, kicker to everything. As I talked about earlier in this video, Microsoft claims that arranging exclusivity deals has been at the heart of Sony's strategy to strengthen its position in the games industry. And it clearly has been, with, again, the marketing rights for Call of Duty, the early beta. There's been exclusive content that's come to PlayStation for Call of Duty for an entire year before it came over to Xbox. You have things like the Final Fantasy 16 exclusively, Final Fantasy 7 remake, all of this type of stuff. PlayStation does that, and I mean, everyone does that, but PlayStation has really doubled down on their exclusivity to strengthen their position in the gaming industry. Continues here to say, and that as well as having its own first-party exclusives, it also has exclusivity deals with third-party publishers. And then again, with Call of Duty, it's not going to be exclusive to Xbox. We know that right now. They have said it multiple times unless they completely change their mind. It says here, Microsoft claims that not having COD games on PlayStation wouldn't make business sense because it would only be profitable if enough people jumped over to Xbox to make up for the money lost from not selling PlayStation copies. And that's exactly it. Again, I mentioned this in my previous video talking about Sony's claims. It doesn't make any business sense. Call of Duty is just way too big of a game. There's way too many players that a lot of people will still stay on PlayStation if you take Call of Duty off and put it exclusively to Xbox and maybe just play something else, play with all their friends on PlayStation. So unless so many people are going to jump over to Xbox, sign up to Xbox Game Pass to make up for that loss of revenue that they would get by taking it off of PlayStation, it makes absolutely no business sense to remove it from the platform. So PlayStation players are still going to get access to the game. It's not like they're going to be losing out of the people signing into PlayStation Network to play Call of Duty. They still have that potential of people spending more money within the PlayStation Network in order to play Call of Duty, to buy COD points, whatever it's called, to buy the battle pass, all of that type of stuff. They will still make some revenue off of that. So there you have it. Microsoft fights back against Sony's claims, pretty much calling them out for saying, listen, it isn't anti-competitive. You guys have been doing the exclusivity stuff for so long, and the real reason that you don't want this deal to go through is because you know that you have all of these exclusive deals with Call of Duty that just won't be there anymore, which does drive in new users to your platform. So the big thing I think we will see going forward is that new users, new players to Call of Duty, their first stop now may potentially be Xbox because it's coming onto Xbox Game Pass, and there will be no more of those exclusive marketing deals with PlayStation. But those are my thoughts on this, guys. Let me know what you think about Microsoft and Xbox's response to Sony's claims about the Activision Blizzard acquisition being anti-competitive. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.